So welcome to Promise to Live Mental Health Town Hall. And we're so grateful to Silicon Slopes and Dr. Dave Morgan for making this space available to us once every month to talk about this important topic. And we'll talk about Promise to Live once or twice today, but Promise to Live was founded on a vision after the founder almost lost her daughter to suicide. And so she said, Brandy, if any of you know Brandy, she said, "What could I do?" So as part of this, we invite you and everybody you love to make a promise. And if you click on that, or take a picture of, see, I'm old, I still click on things. Pretty soon we'll just think it, right, and it'll happen. Then I invite you to make the promise, and the promise is to reach out and get the resource, whatever you need, so you'll stay. So I've experienced this. I have 7 children, I have 5 daughters, and one of my daughters, 15 years ago, in 2009, attempted suicide. And she survived, and we were grateful. And for the next 6 months, she was on suicide watch in our home. And I used to sleep by her door. I'm not sure I slept. And then through the door, she would say, "I promise you 24 hours. She's still alive. She was on suicide watch actually for 12 years in our home. And she may come today. She's on her way. And today, instead of wanting to not be here, 15 years later, she's pregnant and looking forward to a baby in 3 weeks. And she would tell you that I was wrong. The promise wasn't for me. She said, "Dad, that promise was for me," meaning her, that she promised herself 24 hours. And she did it every day. So I'm in, right? Not to ask people to make a promise for me, but to ask people to make a promise for themselves, because there's a better, brighter day. And then we can love them there. And when I said there, I don't mean there where they're going to be. I mean there where they are in their promise. So that's my invitation for you and those you love. And if there's some time at the end, I will tell you more about our story and what I learned. But now we have a sponsor, and Alexis Nelson is here. And she is a partner in a firm, Silicon Slopes IP. She's going to spend a little time for us, and then we'll ask our speakers to come up. So.
Thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here and to be a sponsor of this event with my partner, Joel Wright of Wright Law Group. This is a little different of an event than I typically do. I'm a patent attorney, so normally I actually sponsor Third Thursday at 3 after this, and so I'll be there as well. But this event is really important to me. I'm a mom. I have 2 daughters that have struggled with eating disorders, which has been so this town hall is a really personal thing for me. And just this social cause, which is why I got involved with Joel Wright and the Wright Law Group in this national lawsuit. So the slide behind me basically summarizes what we're doing. We are This is a national lawsuit that I'm working on with a team of lawyers across the country. We've filed cases on behalf of young adults and parents of minor children against the 5 biggest social media platforms, which are Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, and TikTok. Thank you. And as you probably know, these companies make billions of dollars by keeping people online for as long as possible. They collect personal data and sell targeted ads based on what keeps users engaged. And unfortunately, that often includes content that's provocative, emotionally charged, or harmful. And the more time that people, especially young people, spend scrolling, the more money that these platforms make. We now have whistleblower evidence that shows that the companies knowingly target vulnerable users with content that fuels eating disorders, self-harm, anxiety, depression, and suicidality. This lawsuit has already survived a motion to dismiss, and it's currently heading to trial in November. Our goal in sponsoring this event today is to raise awareness and to connect with families who may qualify to join the lawsuit. So to be eligible, individuals must be under the age of 30. They must have used one or more of these 5 platforms for more than 3 hours per day, which is really easy to do. I think I qualify for that. I'm not the under age 30 part, but. And then they also have to either have been hospitalized for a suicide attempt, have died by suicide, or received inpatient or residential treatment for an eating disorder or self-harm. So if any of that applies to you or to someone you love, I encourage you to come talk to me afterwards, and or you can reach out to me using the contact information. We have a flyer that's at the front desk, and my contact information is also up on the screen, as well as contact information for Joel Wright. If we're successful in this lawsuit, we believe this could result in a potential payout of over $100,000 per person. But more importantly, this is our chance to hold these companies accountable for the harm that they've caused to our kids and our communities. So thank you for letting me take a few minutes and introduce myself and this cause.
Thank you for doing this. My wife's not quite 30. But we've had a number of children that meet all those requirements, so maybe she needs some help. So we're going to now bring our speakers up. Before we do that, there's one thing I'd like to just tell you about. On August 8th, we're having a Promise to Live sponsored comedy night. So all of us know that a little laughter helps. It's at Club Paddock. It starts at 6. We have Sean Bott and Steve Solberg that are going to be our comedians, our entertainers, make our night worthwhile. And we'd like to invite you all to come. So general admission is $75. All that goes to Promise to Live. It includes dinner and a show, so a great date, probably some good times. VIP passes are $125. That has a meet and greet and some other things with it that come with it, and we can tell you about that. And if you all are just rushing to come, and you have as many kids as I have, you could sponsor a table. And that's $1,250. So this will be at the back. You can talk to them there as you're leaving and get more information. So that's that. So I want to, with this, we're going to do something that we've never done before. In addition to some speakers, we're going to have a live panel. So I want to invite the panel to come up, and so I'm just going to let them introduce themselves in just a second. But I've got to find your names. But why don't you come up? So we have Lincoln Bailey. And you can just sit for a second. And we have Izzy Dallin, Lainey Anderson, and Caden Jensen. So we're not going to ask them questions yet, but the reason I want them to sit here is because as you look at them and you hear what we're talking about, you may have a question that you'd like asked. And we're not going to take questions where you raise your hand. We've learned that that doesn't always work. And so there's some cards on your table. And if there's something that you'd like to ask, if you would write your question down, and then you can give them to Barb Dillon. She's the one she's Vanna right here. Okay. Then we'll try to mix them into the questions we have. So we also have 3 speakers. We'll hear from Jodi Parker in just a second. Jodi, why don't you come up and take a spot? And we'll hear from Elysia Butler in just a second. And we're excited to hear from them. But we're going to start today with Dave Morgan. And Dave Morgan is the Mental Health Awareness Director for Silicon Slopes. And after he speaks, he won't be sitting up here because he'll be in the back. And if anything comes up today that causes you concern or upset, then you're going to meet him as he talks to you, and then he's here to talk to you. Like the challenge when we talk about mental health and suicide from a stage is we don't know your stories. And the people speaking don't know what words, phrase, or what is or isn't said that could cause you upset of any number of kinds. Whether it be for yourself and what you're experiencing today, or whether it's something that's happened in your life or the life of a loved one, or a neighbor, or somebody you've observed, and you go, oh, like that just touched something, and I need to touch with somebody. So Dave's going to take that role for us today. And so, Dave, I'm going to turn the mic over to you. But then if things come up for you today, well, can we all just agree by hand, like can we agree that if there's something that we need to process in the moment, that we'll reach out to Dave? Okay, can we agree to that? Because we don't want anybody leaving in a worse place than they are today. We'd like you to leave in a better place. So Dave, here you go. So do you want a drum roll too?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Crawford. Like you said, I'm Dr. David Morgan. I'm a licensed psychologist and the Director of Mental Health Awareness here at Silicon Slopes, and we are so grateful to sponsor or promote or participate and partner with Promise to Live for these events. They're very important, and it's our privilege to do so. I want to tell you just a little story here before I start. When I was about 15 years old, I worked at Baskin-Robbins. I got really good forearm strength scooping ice cream for about a year. And every once in a while, I would work with a couple named Joey and Michelle. I thought they were really old. They were probably about 19 at the time. And Joey and Michelle were an actual couple. They were dating at the time. And sometimes they would have a little domestic there in the restaurant when there was no one else in there. So it's me witnessing this fight between Joey and Michelle. It just happened every once in a while. It maybe drove me to become a psychologist, I don't know, thinking I could probably help them at some point. At one point, and this is the only thing I remember from probably the many tiffs that they had in our empty restaurant at times, and Michelle was complaining about something to Joey, and she was over decorating cakes, and Joey was over cleaning something on the other side of the restaurant. It wasn't big. I mean, he could definitely, he was within the sound of her voice. And she was talking and complaining, and then finally she figured she didn't have his attention. She said, "Joey, you're not listening to me." And he says, "I am listening, I'm just not paying attention." And I remembered that. This is like 50 years ago or 40 years ago. I still remember this. So I want to talk about that. When we talk about listening to people and hearing, so let's talk about the difference real quick, okay? So hearing first. All of you are hearing me right now, I assume, unless you have some sort of, hearing difficulty. Most of you can hear me right now. That's just literally the act of sound coming into your ear, okay? That's good. That's a start. And when people talk to us, we should at least do that. Second, right, we can listen. I think probably most of you are listening right now just because I can look into your eyes and I can see that. So not only are you hearing, not only is the sound coming into your ear, but you're processing it, you're attending to it. But on top of that, even better, is paying attention, right? Is that active listening. It's listening with the intent to understand. and thinking about, okay, what is this about, and how does this affect me, or how can I use this to benefit my life or the life of someone else? As we talk today, as the presenters talk and as our amazing panel answers questions, I want you to pay attention. Okay, I want you to hear, and I want you to listen, and I want you to pay attention. Because it's important. If you have someone in your life who is struggling with thoughts or feelings of suicide and they come to you and want to talk about that, we have to pay attention. That's important. If they have the bravery enough to be able to talk about that, because it's a hard thing to talk about, then we need to at least do them in the service of that. I just want to review a few things that I've learned in my 35 years as a psychologist. When youth mention suicide, this is just a few things. Number one, don't immediately try to fix. Just listen and pay attention. They don't want, the fix can happen, but it's not going to happen in 30 seconds. And so, you should do this, or you should do that. Or when I was little and I had these thoughts, none of that. Just listen. Just listen, try to understand, ask clarifying questions, just for the benefit of your understanding, like, what about this or what about that? Not in an accusing way, but just helping you get more data that you need to be able to help them. Next, avoid judgment. Respond with compassion and support. And there might be a time for judgment at some point. Maybe if they're working with a professional and there needs to be a confrontation or something like that, that's okay. But the first time they're talking to you about it, that is not the time for you to say, well, have you been doing this? Have you been doing that? That's the wrong time. And one more, take it seriously. Don't assume that it's attention-getting or just drama. It's not. It's not. If they have the courage to say something about this, if they say, I am thinking about suicide, that's the product of weeks or months of being in fear to say something about that. And they finally got the courage, so your response is critical in those moments. There's all kinds of information about this online if you're looking for extra helps and how you can address this effectively. But these are just some ideas. The last thing I want to talk about briefly is that it has to be more about them than it is about you. And let me explain what I mean by that. Oftentimes, one of the reasons we try to fix is because we don't like the discomfort that their discussion is causing us. And so we say, okay, well, let's fix this so I can feel better. If it's about you, that's no good. It cannot be more about you than it is about them. So you have to take all of your discomfort and just deal with it. And say, they're quite uncomfortable. You can be uncomfortable too. You deal with it. You manage it in the moment. They're probably in a worse place emotionally than you are, so you have to be the bigger person in that place and say, okay, I can sit with this. I can process this. Some of the crummiest parenting, and it's not always parents, but some of the crummiest parenting I've seen throughout my career are people who want to relieve their discomfort. And so they take the easy way out with their kids, and they refuse to discipline or other things because it's about making them comfortable in the moment. But we have to be able to endure that. Alicia's going to talk about emotional resilience, I think so. And emotional resilience, one of the key tenets of emotional resilience is tolerating discomfort. So I won't take any more of your time. Thank you again for coming here. I just want to put in a plug for one of our podcasts we do here at Silicon Slopes, Mental Health Momentum. There's several people in here who have been guests on it, and some pending guests as well. We just get together and talk. I'm the host. We get together and talk about mental health issues in the workplace and beyond. So if that's something you're interested, please take a listen. With that, I will turn it back to Crawford. Yes? Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Dave. Some great lessons there. So I want to introduce you to our panel really quick. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. They're not going to tell their whole story. They may later, but they are going to tell us their name and where they live and something about themselves that we maybe wouldn't know. And then what makes this important to you. So if we could just start with you.
Hello, I'm Lincoln Bailey. I'm a trained first responder and an actor.
Hi, I'm Izzy Dallin. I have been a part of the Hope Hero Foundation for almost a year now. I absolutely love it because I absolutely love to be able to see the impact I'm making in everybody's life. And I actually live here in Lehigh.
Hi, my name is Lainey Anderson. I'm 17 years old. I'm from West Layton, Utah, and I go to Davis High School. Go Darts! And I love being a part of the Hope Hero Foundation. Elysia Butler has not only saved my lives, but thousands of lives across the state of Utah and soon to be the country. And I cannot wait to see what the Hope Hero Foundation does in the future.
Hi, I'm Caden Jensen. I'm from Kaysville, Utah. I joined the Hope Hero about a year ago after some personal things have happened, and this foundation has definitely taught me that it's not finding where you fit in, it's finding where you belong, and that is exactly what we are here to do, and that's the mission that I'm happy to be a part of, to spread across to everyone across the state of Utah, the country, and however far it will go.
Okay, well, welcome you four. We're going to let you guys sit still for a second. I'll introduce you in a second, if that's okay. And we're just going to, let's just hit it right with some questions. And if you'll let them use those mics for now. And you don't have to answer every question, but you can. Okay, so, and if you want the mic from somebody else, try not to hurt them while you grab it. So here's a question. What are some things that adults often misunderstand about the mental health challenges faced by young people today?
I'm going to answer this one. Okay, my least favorite thing that parents will say to their kids right now is, I know exactly how you feel. No. No. They don't have social media. They don't go to school like we do. Not all of their learning was online. And so I think that that's a massive thing, is that parents will literally say, I know exactly how you feel, and they don't know exactly how you feel. Because again, they won't listen to their kids about how it's different. And so that's something that I want to do and help advocate for, is kids' advocation for themselves about what they're actually going through, and not just relying on their parents to help them with it.
Beautiful. Anybody else?
I think a lot of things of what parents don't understand and see these days is the pressure from social media and being able to compare yourself to millions of people day in and day out. A lot of those parents, they didn't grow up with the social media and the contact that a lot of us younger generational people have nowadays, and trying to meet those standards for social expectations. So when they say, I understand how you feel, they don't see the back end of it, that the social media that us younger generation are tied to and the standards that we're set to. So there's a lot of pressure and buildup coming from our younger generation versus an older generation.
Thank you. Either of you have a comment? Okay, so here's a question. Can you share what's been most helpful to you when you're feeling overwhelmed or when you're struggling emotionally or otherwise?
I just like to take a step back and take a moment to myself. Maybe go on a walk, watch my favorite movie, watch Bluey, absolute best show ever when you're having a bad day. And then I also, as well, every time I'm having a bad day, I always find myself opening Alicia's books, and it's the 52 tips for the teenagers, and I just flip to a random page, and on a sticky note on that page, I'll just write everything I'm feeling and how that quote is helping me get through that moment, and it's just such an amazing thing. And then I'll also reach out to people if I'm having a bad day. I'll be very open about it. I'm not afraid to express how I'm feeling, and I feel like that's one of the most important things to do when you're upset, because then it really just helps you get over that hard spot in your life.
Okay, so my whole platform that I do, because I compete in pageantry, so we have like a platform, a community service initiative. It's called Be Your Own Hero, and I encourage teens and kids and everybody to find their passions and become the heroes of their own story. So the whole premise of that is, when you're going through a hard time, you always have that one thing that helps you get through the hard times. Mine is theater and music. So when I'm having a bad day, I go watch musical, or whenever I'm going to rehearsal. That always is something that helps me get through the day, is when I know that I get to go to rehearsal with all these people that I love so much, and that I can tell that they care about me. And so I think just finding that thing that's going to lift you up and not bring you down.
I think for me, something that helps when I'm feeling down or in the moment is to just give it 5 minutes, whether that's 5 minutes to cry, 5 minutes to go on a run, because you're not going to feel the same you do now in 5 minutes. And so just give it 5 minutes.
Brilliant pause, right? It's beautiful, a pause. Thank you. So, one more question before we move to a speaker. Like, what makes it easier or harder for you to talk to your parents or guardians about your mental health?
I think one of the coolest things about the Hope Hero Foundation specifically is we have ambassadors that are the same age as the people that are struggling. I think talking to a parent is really hard because it's someone that you care about and you care what their judgment is of you. And you're afraid that their opinion of you is going to change. But the Hope Hero Foundation, the ambassadors, we're able to go to these different events and be like a safe space for a teenager to come talk to you. Because I'll say this, I don't like talking to older people about my personal problems when it comes to suicide, when it comes to different kinds of things, unless I fully trust that person. But it's easier because for us as ambassadors, we get to be that peer-to-peer talking point with those youth. So that's a lot easier for them to speak to us than it is to an adult at that time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I feel something that makes it hard to reach out to an adult or a parent is the fact that, you look at them and they seem successful. They seem like they have it all together. And you feel like you can't relate to them, because they're established or they're in this position of authority or they've lived life.
For me personally, I was bullied for nearly 2 years, and it was very hard for me to open up and be very open with my parents. But when I finally started to be open with them, my mom was very invested in how I was, and she was learning all these things the same time I was and how I was feeling. So I feel like it's just magical to have someone right by you who is an adult and who has these views on life, but is still trying to be there with someone. So I feel like it is a good thing to reach out to parents, but make sure they understand where you're at and make sure they understand that that this is something you're both trying to get over and learn at the same time.
Should we let her talk? Okay, Elysia.
Okay. I was just going to add on with something that Lincoln said here. And lots of times as parents, we need to let our kids know that we are not perfect and we are messing up. And I tell my kids this all the time. I have not lived today with you yet. I don't know what's coming, just as you don't. So being on the same team as your kids and saying, look, we'll figure it out. I don't have the answers, but together we can figure it out, I think is something parents, you've got to let your kids know you don't know. And it's okay not to know.
You mean I don't have to have an answer to every question?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
This is a good day. This is a good day. Okay. Why don't we hear from you, Jodi? So this is Jodi Parker, and she's going to own the clicker. She's going to give you a little background. She works for the Utah State Board of Education.
Thank
and there
you.
you go.
Thank you, first of all, for inviting me to speak with you all today. This is a little different audience. I spent 10 years in a classroom, and middle school, so 7, 8, and 9. It's the best age, guys. It's the best. They are beautifully hormonally challenged. I have 3 children. They are ages 20, 18, and 5. We are starting over. We had one graduate high school and the next one starting kindergarten this year. So I'm in it. And I know very well I do not know everything, not even close. So what I do, I am primarily over health education in our public schools. So I'm now at the State Office of Education. I've been here for 8 years. We have health education from grades K, actually PK, it starts in 3, 4, and 5-year-olds in preschool, then kindergarten through 6th grade, once in middle school, once in high school. Our standards vertically align. What that means is we start with something very simple. Kindergarten, we want to know how emotions feel in our body. That's it. That is the standard, friends. But by high school, they know how to access resources for support. They understand how to help themselves and others and advocate for their own health and wellness, how to communicate, how to goal set, how to make decisions. So they're really learning skills. Health education is not knowledge, it's skills. It's that we know how to access that information. We know what to do. By memorizing nutrition does not change my behavior. What changes my behavior is knowing the skills behind that. So what we want our teachers and our people that work with our kids in the schools to know is this health positive practice, and this is what I teach. This is what I teach our adults in the schools. Which, I mean, there's a theme here. I've already heard this one a couple times. Avoid shaming and stigmatizing language. Scare tactics do not work. Stigmatizing getting help does not work. We need to take that away, and we do that by listening, which we've heard several times today. Consider the real-life experiences of youth. Again, we've heard this today. Our kids aren't living in the same world we lived in as teens, or even the same world we live in as an adult. It's not the same. We need to hear them and understand that their experiences are valid. They're not made up. They're not being dramatic. That is their life, and it is real. Acknowledge the role of emotions. I mean, I remember enough that being a teenager and all those hormones just raging, it's hard. And the emotions are so, my mom will tell you a story that I had a full meltdown at the age of 13 because I dropped broccoli. It is true. I dropped broccoli. I don't know why broccoli was so upsetting, but it was. And be honest, take that judgment away. Mental health especially, and anything really in health education. I was having this conversation with someone earlier today in this room, that there isn't one thing that we teach in health education that somebody doesn't have trauma with. Whether it is food insecurity, disordered eating, safety and disease prevention, we teach CPR. Somebody has had an experience with a death in their family as a result of cardiac arrest. That is a traumatic thing to teach. Mental health, suicide prevention, sex education, sex abuse prevention, these are hard topics. Somebody is dealing with trauma in this topic, and we have to promote the help seeking with all of these topics. And finally, my advice to every teacher and every person who works in schools and with youth, and now parents today, you have to be askable. Be approachable. And I love that we don't have all the answers, but we can be askable. With health education, there's this, it's called the WISC model. It is from CDC, but it is whole child, whole school, and I just totally botched that acronym, but whole child, whole school, and whole community. So whole school, child, community. There are 10 tenets on this. This is not all about school. Family is one of our 10 tenets. We can't, health education gets about 4 seconds in public school, right? Like, it is so quick. It is not enough. You can't do this without the community, without parents, without our homes, without every single adult being involved in the health and wellness of these children. It takes every single one of us every single day. So why do suicides happen? It is not one thing. So we like this acronym, the Rubik's Cube. Who's a Rubik's Cube? Like, who is the master in here? I want to know. I need to know because I have literally never solved one without removing the stickers. Those of you under the age of 25, you're like, wait, there were stickers? Yes, Rubik's Cubes originally came with stickers, and the only way I have ever solved one in my entire life is I peeled off all the stickers and I replaced them. Everyone laughing knows exactly what I'm talking about because you did it yourself, right? Or break it. I heard break it. Yep. Well, see, but they didn't used to come apart like that.
There's apps that will solve them for you now.
Yeah. I have watched the YouTube videos, and they do not work for me. So imagine this Rubik's Cube now. And each of these pieces, each of these colors, represents a factor impacting our life, our own mental health. If we arrange it in such a way, it could be catastrophic. It is not ever going to be solved. But what if we replaced just one? We were able to move just one block to line up. Just one. Now we have hope, we have coping, we have resiliency, we have healthy habits. By just changing one block, just one, we could change the trajectory until we can solve our cube. So what is your role? Your role is to find a way to change just one of those pieces. Because suicide is so complex, and mental health is so complex. It's never one thing. And if we can change one thing for the positive, maybe we can have that one more day, those 24 more hours, that promise for just 24 more hours, because we changed the conversation. I will stick around. I am very contactable. I am at the State Office of Education. My name is literally Googleable with all my contact information, but I believe it's also on all of the information here. I have some cards. If anyone has questions, I'm happy to help. I did provide a whole bunch of resources here that the State Office of Education, I don't know if they're going to have access to this electronically, but these are all linked if they do. I don't know that answer. I apologize.
Well, thank you so much. That was good. That was good, and I don't have to have all the answers, and I can come to you for the rest. That's great. So if you have written a question on a card, Barb's going to pick those up. Not required, but we want to make sure that if you have one, we can get to those. So I have a question for the panel. So suicide rates have risen 71% in the last decade for youth 10 to 24. So why do you think this is happening? Like, why do you think that's going on?
I know we say this a lot, but I think social media is a big thing with especially teenagers, and teenagers are getting it, or kids are getting it younger and younger. One thing that I'm so blessed that my parents did was they did not let me have social media on my phone until I was in freshman year of high school. So I was able to have a social media account on my mom's phone. So I was able to learn how to use it in an effective and positive way. And see how it can be used in a good way. I think social media is a beautiful thing, but it can also be a very terrifying thing. Because as long as you filter what you see. You filter what you see, and if you're looking at bad things, and you shouldn't be looking at bad things. I also recommend parents to have their social media accounts tied with their child's account, so they can see and monitor different things that they're using. But as long as we look at good, positive things, then we should feel those good, positive things. Because I know that if we look at a video of something sad, we're gonna be sad. Or it's if we look at a cute picture of a puppy, we're gonna be happy. It's a puppy, right? And so if we can filter, as teens or even as adults, if we can filter what we see, then that's gonna change how we feel throughout the day and how we feel throughout our lives.
I also believe that not only is it social media, but overall just online devices in general. There's a lot of ways where we can get very, very destructive and harmful information to us through our online systems. But I also think not only that, but in our school systems, there is a desire of perfectionism in everything we do, in sports, in grades. We have to have straight A's. You have to be at the top of the class. You have to be playing every single game every single sport. And I feel like that is definitely something that is putting pressure on all of these kids and causing them to struggle because they don't have a moment to breathe and they don't have a moment to just sit with themselves. They're instead thinking, oh, I have to do this, I have to be perfect, I have to. But it shouldn't be I have to, it should be I get to, I want to. And they really we need to shift the focus so that it's a lot more on what they want to do instead of the pressure of perfectionism.
I'm going to kind of tag on with the social media here. You know, as I think social media is one of the biggest leading causes to the rising suicide rates, I do have a very big stance that sits very high up there with parents not wanting to ask the hard questions. They're wanting to shy away from them. They don't want to ask the hard questions of, how are you doing mentally? How are you doing physically? What is bothering you in your life outside of it? Because parents want to have this perfect family. They want to have this perfect portray of that their family is just perfect. And I think that a lot of the hard questions need to be asked more. And I think that would definitely help the rising suicide rates, especially with kids 10 to 24. You know, ages 10 to 18 are such developmental years for you guys. They're going through changes. They're going from elementary to junior high to high school, all within the blink of an eye. So I think that asking those hard questions needs to be more present in these kids' lives.
Thank you, Caden.
I'll tag on to that as well. Mine's going to be a little different. I think not only is it the social media, but another factor is everyone's so focused in their own little life, in their own little bubble, that we're not really, I guess, checking up on other people. We're just so focused with me, and not we, you know. And so I feel like that's another factor to that.
Can I add something onto that? But we cannot help anybody else unless we help ourselves first. So again, yes, of course, caring for other people, but it's we also need to take time to care about ourselves so we can take care of other people.
Thank you. So I just want to do a raw poll. Is that okay? Anybody honest enough to say that they are scared to ask their kids or grandkids hard questions? I just want, really, is that all? The rest of you got it? Yeah, so I just want you to put your hands up if you've ever been nervous about asking a hard question. Or not ask one when it seemed that it was time. Look around, just look at the hands for a second. I think it's really important sometimes. And I loved what you said. We all are worried about these other things, but it's good to know that you're not the only one. And it's not a guilty, it's a, I don't know how to ask. Or it's scary. If there were youth here, they may not know that their parents asking them questions is scary. A 10-year-old's not probably walking around saying, I wonder why my parent isn't asking me this hard question, right? And it's not so I just want, we might do this a few times, but it's good to look around and say, we're in this, the chart you showed, Jodi, we're in this as a community together. Now you have something you want to say.
Yes,
so
I
go ahead.
do. I also think it's so stigmatized where it's us as teens have to go to our parents. I think also parents should also be educated in the signs of suicide and the signs of mental health, in the signs of just your teens struggling. Because again, it's so stigmatized that we as youth have to go speak to our parents. That's scary for us too. That's terrifying.
So how many people have said, again, show of hands, if you got a problem, come talk to me. So what they hear is, and if you don't talk to me, I don't think you have a problem. Or some version of that, right? It's good to just know. It's just good to know that when we asked that last question, every adult had an adult next to them that was uncomfortable asking an uncomfortable question. So in your workplace, in your church, in your neighborhood, in your club, the person you're not talking to about how do you ask this question is wondering why they're the only one with this question, right? And I just want you to know, we want to hear from the youth, but can you see each other? Can you see each other? And when I get to my lessons learned, I'm going to say something about seeing people deeply. And one of our solutions is to see these youth deeply, but one of them is to see each other truthfully and really. Like that, by the way, I might as well just go there. That's what Jesus did. Like, if you go study all of the stories about Jesus, whether you're religious or not, he started by seeing the person in front of him. That's all. That was the miracle. Those people felt and were seen. And it changed everything for them. And that includes these beautiful people on stage and those that we don't see who may even be struggling more, right? So the principle that's written in my scriptures, not that I'm trying to give a speech here, but if I gave the talk, I'd say the first principle is be with, see me. Be with, see me. That's what I learned. Be with, see me. Now, that may follow with listen to me or hear me, feel me. Notice there's no solving going on at all. 7 kids, 5 girls, and the minute our daughter attempted suicide, suddenly 3 others came and said, I think I might be suicidal too. And the whole family system was upset. Be with, see me, hear me, feel me. The healing will come. And it has its own schedule. And we don't need to hurry it along. Like, be with, see me. So I don't mean to hijack. It was just right there, right? And I don't know if you saw some emotion in some faces up here. It's like, see me, right? Biggest lesson I learned is I was looking at my kids, I wasn't seeing them. And I was a good dad, according to all the metrics, right? So I'm piggybacking you guys. Here's another question, okay? So over 3 million high school students reported in 2023, so a couple of years ago, that they were seriously considering suicide. That's scary stark. What do we as adults need to do or know to change that?
I think that there needs to be more listening and more understanding. Sitting down, and excuse my French, shutting up and listening.
That was awful.
Awful.
The S word.
Absolutely terrible.
Okay.
Listening, shutting up, and sitting down. Because sometimes all someone needs is a listening ear, because they are holding so many things in this head. Your head is racing. Millions of thoughts a day. At least me. Maybe 1,000,001 for me. But sometimes they just want someone to listen without judgment and to see them. Like you said, just see them. I've had many conversations with Elysia here, where she sat there and just listened and listened. And that right there is the most healing and most trusting and safe place that you can be for somebody, is just sitting there and listening. So for adults, parents, anybody who's trying to navigate suicidal ideation, thoughts within their friends, their family, just listen. It's the number one thing.
Thank you so much.
I just want to say thank you for what you were saying earlier, because not to like get all spiritual here, but I was at FSY last week, and that was like what I was like looking at in like my scriptures the whole time. And one thing that came to my mind is that I think that parents can do, and as us can do, to help not just with suicide but with everyday lives. And this is what I've been saying to myself every single day, is to see people the way God sees them, because that is the way that they were intended to be seen. And like really like before, I think, let's regain my thoughts. I think a big thing right now is, especially in teens, especially in Utah, there's a lot of judging without knowing. And there's a lot of judging without talking to this person. So I feel like if we really like get to know this person before judging them, then they could be our friend. You could realize maybe they dress that way because of a situation at home, or maybe they act that way because, say, they have ADHD or they have dyslexia or different kinds of things. And so I think we need to see people the way that God sees them, because God created them to be this amazing person, but also to really know somebody before all the just judging them because of the way that they're acting. I know I've personally been judged by so many different people at school where I've lost friends because they said, you're too loud, you're too spunky, but they never asked why. Why is there like a certain way that you're too loud? Is there a certain way that you act this way? And so I think also asking and listening to these people and hearing about their problems and hearing about things that they could be going through.
Beautiful. Thank you. Either of you? Okay. From the cards. So, what do you do to give yourself personal power or boost your self-confidence?
Have you ever heard about cold plunging?
I've
You
done
ever
it.
heard of that? Because that will boost your confidence and it'll boost your mental energy like you would not believe. It might sound terrible to sit in 36-degree water, but when I tell you, you get out of there, you could run around, do a marathon, and do 10 cartwheels. It's amazing. That is my biggest tip right there to boost your confidence.
Okay.
Something my mom told me a few months back was, I wish you would give yourself the grace you give other people. And so I made a decision to myself a few weeks ago after my mom told me that. And I told myself that every day I'm going to give myself, 110%. I'm going to give my all. So that way at the end of the day, I can't say, oh, I didn't do enough today. Oh, I'm not good enough. I didn't achieve this. Because I did. I gave my everything.
Thank you for that. I loved that. One thing that Elysia always says is that you are most like the 5 people that you spend your most time with. So, I heard some mms. Thank you. But if you're around people that are not nice, or they're not boosting your self-esteem, or they're bringing you down, you're not gonna feel good. You're gonna feel like crap. And I've been around those people. My whole life I had a friend group that didn't, not my whole life, but in junior high I had a friend group that was not great, and I didn't realize that until I found new friends, and I love them. They're awesome. But it's also another thing that Hope Hero says is that we can switch to a different playground if the playground that we're playing at isn't working and the people aren't the people that you want to be around. So I think being able to find those 5 people that you spend the most time with, like my mom and Elysia and my best friends and the rest of my family. So like I want to be like those people. And so finding those 5 people that are gonna lift you up and boost your self-esteem and not bring it down is gonna be a really big asset in your life, and it's gonna help you.
Thank you.
She stole I was going to say the playground thing. She stole it. She stole my words right
Okay.
out of my mouth.
So would you give her the mic for next time she can start?
Yes, I'm sorry. I talk at every question.
It's okay. Well, we're going to hear from Elysia for a second. I need to say something just so that you know. One of my daughters just came in, and she's pregnant in August, and it's not the daughter I told you about. Like there's something in the water, right, in our family, and we got a number of them in August. But there's something about her that I think is worth you knowing. Like when my daughter Brooklyn attempted suicide at 15, Addie was 11. And Addie was Brooklyn's therapist. And sat up with her every night and let her talk. And Addie missed her teen years in some ways, and we've talked about that, and I'm not trying to disclose that. Hi, Beckett. And so I just want to acknowledge here that when we have a child struggling, it impacts the whole family system. And sometimes when our kids are in crisis, they don't know that. They know it. I mean, logically they know it, but they don't know it. They're 10 or 12 or 15 or 18. And I want to acknowledge Addie, but I don't want you all to run up to her later and say, glad you made it 15 years. I'm glad she made it 15 years too. Because a couple of years ago, she came to me and said, Dad, now that Beckett's here, I'm not sure I can be that person anymore. I'm not sure I could be that person anymore. And so, although it's not what we're talking about here, this talk to a peer, right? We talked about that. And I just wanted you to know who Addie was and not think she's Brooklyn. And Brooklyn may be here still. I think she's on her way. But Addie's a hero. Like, she is a hero. And I love you. Okay. There's one other thing I want to say, and then I'm going to let you introduce yourself. So they were talking about sit down and listen to your kids, right? We heard that from all of you. And there were nods going on, and you're all doing this. So if I ask you, in a casual conversation, how many of you would say, so how are you? I'm busy. How many is that your answer? I'm busy. That's it? Just 3 of you? I mean, we're doing hands up thing, right? Like, there is power in having space in your calendar. Because God can't put any discussion in your calendar if you don't make time for it. And your kids know you're busy because you are busy. Like, I'm busy, right? So then they're not going to get what you just said we needed, right? They're not going to get it, but they're not going to want to take it because they still believe you're the source of the food on the table and the car in the garage or whatever it is, and that you're their source of some other things, and they're scared to disrupt that. And if I could bless you with one thing today, I would bless you with the desire to put space in your calendar that's not full. Because then your children and your grandchildren and your neighbors and the people here can come to you and say, I see you have some space in the calendar. Like, I see you have space. You have space in your head, in your hands, in your heart, in your calendar. There's evidence that we could have this conversation that we need to have. I learned that. And I wanted to share it because you brought it up. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to hear from Elysia, and then we'll have some more questions.
Okay, before I click some slides, 2 things popped up. Show me your calendar and I'll show you your priorities. Okay, so put those people in your calendar. Okay, schedule that. And then John Maxwell says it best. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Okay, so let's see where this is. I'm going to go through just a little bit of this. I want to give you guys some statistics with where we're at. You heard earlier, suicide rates have risen 71% for youth ages 10 to 24 in the last decade. I was listening to a podcast this morning. In 2023, 3 million youth, high school kids, considered suicide in 2023. 3 million. In a hospital up in Weber area, they receive 1,000 youth coming through their doors every single month. Let's break that down. That's over 33 kids a day in one county not wanting to exist. We have to change what we are doing to change what is happening with our youth. We can no longer wait for warning signs. They're not showing them. They're wearing these masks of pretending that they're perfect. I'm going to pretend I'm perfect for mom here. I'm going to pretend for my teacher. I'm going to pretend for my coach, right? We got to take down the masks. And that starts with us as adults taking down our masks and saying, I had a rough day. I don't know it all, right? We've got to let our kids know that being an adult does not mean that you're going to be perfect and know everything and have life put together. Nobody does. We're all figuring it out as we go. So I'm going to go over what resilience is. We hear this all the time. My definition of resilience is a little bit different. Resilience, though, is a key protective factor against suicide risk. Resilience is not just bouncing back. It's bouncing forward and moving through adversity or challenges, right? Because when something happens, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a traumatic event, we are no longer the same person we were before then. Our perspectives, our thinking has shifted. I can't go back to the way it was before because I am different. I view the world from a different lens, right? So resilience is stepping into the new journey you're on. Does that make sense? You can't go back. You have to go forward and through a challenge. So how do I teach resilience? Well, I've adapted Joseph Campbell's work on the hero's journey. Just by a raising hand, how many of you guys know what the hero's journey is? Okay, that's maybe 10, 12 people here. You need to go look this up, but I'm going to break it down, and that's what I've done for kids. I was a 9th grade English teacher for 14 years up in Davis School District. I loved it. Teens, I love teens. I actually did not teach any of these guys. She was at my last school, but she was friends with kids in my classes. So since I started in 2008, teaching kids to be the heroes of their own stories, writing down their own heroic adventures with the framework of the hero's journey. How many of you guys have watched a Marvel movie? Hero movie? Yeah, everybody here. So Joseph Campbell actually discovered that the hero's journey has a pattern. We know the framework and the pattern to rise above adversity. And he learned it and studied it from the myths of ancient time, from the beginning of time, and it's still true today. In your life, in your kids' lives, in every one of our lives, we're following a pattern to rise from adversity. So from American Psychology Association, they back this up. Here are some of the current statistics and meanings with this. When you view yourself as the hero in your own story, you have more meaning in life. You are more resilient to life's challenges, many psychological benefits, including higher well-being, higher life satisfaction, lower rates of depression, less anxiety, and more belief in yourself. When you see yourself as the hero in your own life. So this is pretty small here. There is a pattern back there. I have a book where I've broken this down as well. You start on an adventure, something happens, and you're like, yeah, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't want this to happen. But you're going to go anyway. That's your call to adventure. You're going to meet a mentor along the way who supports you in your challenges and trials. You're going to fail. Your mentor cannot do it for you. You come to a spot where you're in this cave, where you think, I just can't do it anymore. I can't take one more step. I can't figure this out. But that is when you have to dig inside for yourself. The mentor cannot do it for you. The mentor is there to help you find the belief within yourself. Sometimes you have to borrow someone else's light to step out of that cave, right? So borrow their light until you find it within you to step out. And what you receive after that is a gift of this new knowledge, this self-realization that you can do hard things, that you can overcome this. And then you really transform into a hero of your own story. And you're more prepared the next time, not if, not when, the next time a situation similar to this shows up, you're going to know, oh yeah, I've done this before. I can do this. And you're more prepared to be the person with that light and having that hand reached out to help someone who's stuck in that cave of darkness. Does that make sense? So a lot of times when I'm talking to kids, I'm like, hey, I want you to look up here and pretend this is the story of your life up here right now. Okay, whatever the last 12, 24 hours has been. And you guys have, 50 people out here watching your life. What is this audience screaming at you to do? They're seeing it. Sometimes you just need to zoom out because you're too close in your story, right? Zoom out and go, what step do I need to take? What door do I need to close? Who do I need to call? What do I need to do or stop doing? Does that make sense? Okay. I can teach a kid this with Moana, with Harry Potter, Lion King, with Spider-Man, any of it. These kids recognize this and then they see it within themselves. Whatever movie your child likes, it's because they relate to that character. So if you don't actually know what's going on in your child's life, ask them what's their favorite movie and then go watch it. And you're going to figure out some things going on with your child. Here's some resiliency tips. It is on the keychain as well. There's a QR code where you guys can get these. This is how you build resilience and mindset. It's not a one and done, it's a daily thing. Okay, it's a daily thing. Mornings matter. They set the intention for your day. Make your bed. I teach these kids, make your bed. If that's the only thing you did that day, you won. Because sometimes, we got to set ourselves up for success. We don't know what's coming after. Create clear goals. Develop positive connections. When we were talking earlier, the thing we're missing is real life human connections. Thank you guys for showing up and being here in person. We need more in-person connections. We need those. Take care of your body and your nutrition. Just start where you're at. Start doing something. And then have fun. Live life and have fun. We are teaching our kids what adulting looks like. And if you think it sucks, then your child is going to think it sucks, right? So when's the last time you had fun? Go have fun and play and teach your kids to do the same. We're not promised tomorrow. We're promised right here, right now. So make it count. Make it count. Thank you.
Excellent, both of you and all of you. So I have just a few more questions. You have something you want to say?
Actually, thank you.
Oh, yeah, it was great. And I'm just curious, how many of you, now we're going to do this till you learn to raise your hand, like how many of you can see the hero story or journey in your life? Okay, that's amazing. So how many of you have you told it to your kids and grandkids? Like, if you don't tell them your story, how in the world will they believe that their genetics can have that story? That's all I have to say about that. Okay, so here's a question from our studio audience. What are some trigger words that teens hate to hear in a conversation with their parents? Yeah, you got the mic, right?
Ooh, this is a good one. Some trigger words are, I guess, dramatic, overreacting, sensitive. Those three words right there are some of the three biggest trigger words that I personally have heard in stories and people that I've talked to. Those three words are I couldn't even tell you how deeply they cut into you and how they stick with you. And they will stick with you forever because you're not being dramatic, you're not being sensitive, you're not overreacting. If it's making you feel a certain way and you're speaking up about it, I'm proud of you. That takes courage. So with those three words right there, just be very, very careful with how you use them because words are like little toy guns and they blast off and they do damage more than you would think.
Excellent, thank you.
This is more of a phrase, but whenever I'm talking to an adult about suicide and they said, oh, that kid took their life, or they, what's another phrase they use? But they're not saying that it was suicide that took their life. They're saying that this kid basically just killed themselves. And it's like such a sad phrase. Instead, I think it should be more of they were struggling with suicide and that's what took their life. It's not them taking their life. It's suicide took their life. And I feel like that's very important to switch.
I think sorry. You're good? Okay. I think another word is lazy, is using the word lazy for your kids. Yep. I think like, cause I think it's just like, sometimes we're having a bad day And like, yeah, we want to spend a day in our bed. It's fine. Like that, we can have mental health days too. But I think like using specifically the word lazy and can be a big trigger word for kids, because like sometimes like where it's like, say like they even just made their bed, which I don't do, but it's like if they like just make their bed and you say, oh, that's just like a lazy job that you just did. No, it's not. At least they did something and they tried. So using lazy just be careful using that word.
Labels, right, of any kind.
Labels.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I think another word is selfish. Like, if you commit suicide, you're being selfish.
Yeah. Thank you for putting that in this conversation. Yeah. And it can't be that bad. Like people say, it can't be that bad, right? So all those things. Look, I have one more question. This is a really hard one to get in the words right. So I'm going to do my best. And then I have a couple wrap-up things. So we only have a few minutes. How can a parent help kids, their children, when other kids are telling them to just go die or just go kill yourself?
This is something that really hits home to me, because when I was being bullied, I received phone calls every single day. I received texts every single day, messages on Instagram, TikTok, everything, in person, telling me I was not enough, telling me that nobody loved me, telling me I should just go take my life. So it was very hard for me. And I feel like what my mom did best for me is one day when we were going through all of my bullying, there was actually a situation where the girl had called me and I put the phone on speaker so my mom could hear what was happening. And then my mom ended up saying something, and that girl handed her phone to her parent, and her mom started saying the same things to my mom. And so in that moment, my mom was there comforting me, but she was also getting told that she's an awful parent and all of these horrid things. But my mom, throughout that whole entire thing, she was just there for me and was listening. She listened to everything, how I was feeling, and I think that night I even ended up sleeping in her room with her, and I know she said while I was struggling with everything, she slept in my room with me a few times as well. So I feel like it is very just important to sit and listen and be there with your kids. Tell them they are not alone in this. Tell them that they are enough, that they are loved. My favorite thing to say to everybody is that they are enough. It is the biggest and most impactful thing you can say to someone. When you're just walking down the hall, you give them a smile and say, hey, you're amazing, I love you. And so I feel like we definitely just need to be more inclusive with everybody and change the way that things are seen.
Thank you.
First of all, Izzy, you are enough, and you are beautiful and so kind, and you are so strong, and I'm so proud of you. But I also think it's such a normalized thing in high school to say, oh, I'm going to go kill myself, or, oh, go kill yourself, like you literally like stole my lunch money or something. And that's not okay, because that, again, is a massive, massive trigger for teenagers. I know my story is not as hard as Izzy's, but when I was in junior high, I had a time where one of my childhood best friends, every single time that he would look at me, wouldn't even say a single word to me. He would just smile and flip me off. And that was really hard. And then the messages started coming in, and whenever I would go over and talk to them, they would just say, oh, just like leave. And they'd be, oh, just go kill yourself. I'm like, okay, cool. Okay, cool. Like, my favorite people in the world are saying these things to me, that maybe it's true. And I was really questioning if I really belonged on this planet, if I really, like, people actually loved me. And it wasn't until I was able to finally tell my parents, because they gave me that safe space to be able to say something to them. And I said, I'm going through this really hard thing right now, and I need help. And what I did is I went up to this boy, and I said, if you do this one more time, my family will get in contact with your family, and it won't be pretty for you. And he stopped. And do you want to know something really awesome about this boy? Is that every single time I see him now, he apologizes for what happened, and we are now great friends again. Because people can change. and their opinions of you and of suicide and of different kinds of things can change. This is very off topic, but the whole question was like, my parents were able to give me that safe space to talk about that situation, because it was really hard. I was 13, 14. It was really hard. But yeah, me and him are now really good friends, and he's an amazing person. But I just think, like, as parents and as guardians, we need to create that safe space for our kids to be able to speak, because I know that there's a lot of people that don't have that safe space.
Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap us up. We could ask another. I got a whole bunch of questions for you. I'm sorry. But there's a few things I just want to wrap up with, if that's okay. And we're on a clock. So first, so I don't forget, thank you to each of you for what you shared and what you felt, for the tears, for the emotion, for the honest sharing, for calling us out without using our names or saying we're lazy or any of those other things. Thank you for inviting us into the conversation. So I wanted to end with a little more about my story. Okay, and I don't want to really tell you the story. I want to tell you what I learned, but you need to know this. 6 weeks before Brooklyn attempted suicide, I had a daughter come home from college that had had an unforgivable experience. 3 days after Brooklyn attempted suicide, I lost my job. And I was out of work for 30 months. During that time, Brooklyn went to residential care. We lost a granddaughter, and my daughter had a baby, a different daughter. It was the worst of times. And so I don't want the attention. I want to tell you what I learned in that crucible. Okay, and I wrote a few down. I'm going to go fast. I wish I could spend an hour on it. Your children are not a problem to fix. They're not a problem. They're a person to love. And there's nothing that will teach you to love a child more than when they have these experiences. Number 2, there is no place for shame or blame. And you have to give away judgment to make room for compassion. And any judgment you hold on to squeezes out that opportunity for you. And if you think it's easy to get rid of judgment, you haven't done it yet. Number 3, as long as I made it about me, including what did I do wrong questions, I couldn't bless my family. And I wasn't that kind of guy, per se. It's just that I ended up in it, right? Like, what did I do wrong? That would be a normal question, right? How did this happen? And it can't be about you at all. You had that on one of your charts, but I had to learn it. Like, I didn't have to read it. Then this one might sound like a contradiction, but you have to do your own work. Like, you have to go to work on you. You're the only person you can change anyway. And you have to invest in the work. And I've been doing work for 15 years. I'm not sure I did work on myself before that. I already said the first is be with, see me. Then hear me, feel me. Healing will come. You don't have to make it happen. Be with, see me. This was my credo. Come as you are. My life is better with you in it. However you are. Wherever you are. And that changed everything. And I'm not sure I knew it, but I think I had a lot of, my life's great when you're like this. It running through me. I probably still have some of that running through me. Like, that's work. Words are optional. In fact, not necessary. You didn't hear anybody up here say more. I wish my parents would say more. Did you say that? Anybody say that? Like, I wish my parents would
Big fat
give me a
no.
lecture, right? Like, so, and so I want to give you kind of two magical questions. You can write them down, or you can forget them. So you decide. The first question is, what are you thinking about and what are you thinking? It's magic. Because what we usually say is, I'm thinking this, what do you think? That's not helpful. What are you thinking about and what are you thinking? If I had an hour, I'd give you some stories. The second one is magic. What more are you thinking or feeling or want to say? And then shut up. What more are you thinking or feeling or want to say? Those are magic questions, right? There's no judgment in those questions. There's no you have to be okay in those questions. Where you are is just great, and I want to know what you're thinking. I know what I'm thinking, but that's not relevant. I learned that. I'm learning to do it, so I'm not claiming victory. So I'm not going to say you should believe everything your kids say, because kids lie. So do adults. Anybody who, no, we won't do the hand up thing. But believe in your child. Like, sometimes they say what they think you want to hear, but believing in them is different. And I was a person who thought that people needed me to solve their problems. That's not accurate. They have all of the resource and the ability to get the resource that they need. They have all of the strength inside them, and if you don't see it, they can't see it. And you may need to guide them, and if you ask those two questions, they'll start to say, but I don't know where, and that's them. Then you go, wow, like that question, you're asking for help. That's beautiful. That's in you. That's not in me. Like, believe that they have, I believe all of you have all of the resource and talent available to get the resource you need, to get the help you need with whatever challenge is in front of you, because you are not the problem. And when your kids feel that from you, things start to change. It doesn't change on your schedule. That's different. And I know I've got to end, so I got just a couple more, Dave, if that's okay. Okay. I just want to say this. When you believe that in your children, it invites faith, not fear. When you don't believe in your child, it invites fear. And fear freezes, and faith acts. So if you want your kids to get into action, you believe they can. It's just a big thing. I learned this. I didn't know it. Okay, these are just a couple. Stop worrying about what everybody else thinks. Stop worrying about what the neighbors think. Can't control it anyway. Let them do them so you can do you. Just stop doing them. Stop worrying about what the bishop thinks, what the neighbor thinks, what the girl or the guy in your club thinks, your employer, your employee. Just, it doesn't matter. Just go do you. And when your kids see you do you, they will begin to do them. And the last thing I just say is, people don't know what to say, and they don't know what to do. Forgive them. Forgive them. And accept whatever help they offer, unless it'll damage. I mean, if it do damage, that's different. I'm not saying that. It is my most humble desire that you listen to these young people today and to these experts. Such great counsel. I don't know who the kids are in your life that matter to you. Go be with them today. See them as they are and have that be okay. Because the only place you can meet somebody is where they're at. And if you try to ask them to come meet you where you want them to be, it doesn't work. That's a fail. So I invite you into a conversation where they are, not where you wish they were or where you are or whatever. Go there. You're the adult. You can go there. So, love you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for teaching us today. And we're out. Okay.